It's midnight and you are tuning in to Nightline with me, Sabrina Zainal. The top stories. 870,000 income-losing Malaysians to get 500 ringgit BKP aid beginning Tuesday. And motion to repeal emergency ordinances approved by majority voice vote. Good morning. The government, in ensuring the well-being of keluarga Malaysia, will disburse a one-off bantuan kehilangan pendapatan BKP aid starting Tuesday. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the 500 ringgit aid would benefit nearly 870,000 individuals who had lost their income this year. In a statement on Monday, Datuk Seri Ismail said the aid involves a financial implication of 434 million ringgit to ensure the welfare of the Malaysian family. He added the BKP will be given to workers who have lost their jobs based on data from the Employees Provident Fund, EPF, or Social Security Organisation, SOCSO, in 2021. The Prime Minister also hoped that the aid and other cash assistance provided by the government could lessen the financial burden of the people during these challenging times. Approval status check for the BKP can be done starting October 26th through the BKP portal at bkp.hasil.gov.my. For further information, BKP recipients could also refer to the Frequently Asked Questions section in the portal. Sultan Nazrin Muizzuddin Shah on Monday decreed that the people need to be assured that they have a place in Keluarga Malaysia or the Malaysian family. As such, the Deputy Yang di-Pertuan Agong said the Malaysian family spirit needs to be strengthened through the practice of openness in accepting the differences of opinion and in appreciating the differences of approaches and methods.
Suara yang berbeza sewajarnya diberi ruang untuk boleh diluahkan kerana rintihan hati yang dikurung berpotensi menyalakan bara marah dan mengalirkan lava dendam yang lebih volcano sifatnya.
Sultan Nazrin, in his address at the sending-off ceremony at Dewan Bendahara, Istana Negara on Monday, also said the concept mooted by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob refers to a very large Malaysian family. Therefore, a leader of a very large family needs a high level of patience, capability, focus and willpower to discharge his duties in a fair and just manner, as the challenges will be more complex, with more voices need to be heard and more requirements need to be fulfilled. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Ismail expressed his appreciation to Sultan Nazrin for the ruler's views and advice, which would be a guide and reminder for the Premier and his cabinet in ensuring that the country's administration is always on the right track. The Sultan of Perak left Istana Negara after exercising the duties of Yang di-Pertuan Agong during the absence of Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah since September 18th. The second meeting of the fourth session of the 14th Parliament, which opened its curtain on Monday, saw the motion to repeal 7 emergency ordinances approved by a majority voice vote. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, when tabling the motion, said with the annulment of the emergency ordinances, the compounds for violating COVID-19 Standard Operating Procedures, SOP, will be lowered back to their previous amount. The motion was passed after being debated by 18 members of the Dewan Rakyat. It covers, among others, the Emergency Essential Powers Ordinance 2021, Emergency Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Amendment Ordinance 2021, and Emergency Employees Minimum Standards of Housing, Accommodations and Amenities Amendment Ordinance 2021. The ordinance to increase penalties on those caught flouting SOPs came into effect on March 11th, with fines raised up to 10,000 ringgit for individuals and 50,000 ringgit for companies or corporations, from 1,000 and 10,000 respectively. Malaysia was placed in a state of emergency from January 12th until August 1st to curb the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, which was then entering a critical stage. On October 1st, Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi confirmed that the emergency had ended in August, but said the ordinances would still apply until February 2022. Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi also told the Dewan Rakyat that the government will not interfere with investigation by authorities if there is a report against any party or individual involved in the Pandora Papers leak. He said the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, was in the process of obtaining more information on the matter and holding discussions with other agencies, including Bank Negara Malaysia, BNM, to coordinate investigations.
Saya bagi jaminan kepada Yang Berhormat. Saya akan jemput semua agensi-agensi yang Berhormat sebut tadi, iaitu SPRM, Bank Negara, Commercial Crime Police Department dan pihak-pihak lain untuk memberi arahan daripada Perdana Menteri supaya penyiasatan dilaksanakan sebagaimana yang saya sebut di perangan 11 jawapan saya tadi. Dan insya-Allah kita akan berbincang dan untuk menentukan tarikh menetapkan jawapan diberi kepada pihak Parlimen apabila setelah didapati apa saja keputusan yang didapati daripada penyiasatan itu nanti.
He also stressed that it was not an offence to open offshore accounts under the Malaysian law, but action would be taken if there was evidence of criminal misconduct by any individual or company. It was reported that the exposé, based on the leak of around 11.9 million financial documents from around the world, had linked a number of prominent Malaysians to offshore dealings. Also at the August House, Datuk Siti Zailah Muhammad Yusof disclosed that the bill on sexual harassment will be tabled before the end of the Dewan Rakyat meeting this December. The Deputy Women, Family and Community Development Minister said the bill will be tabled at the Parliament's lower house upon receiving approval from the Cabinet and Attorney General's Chambers AGC.
Kami dalam usaha untuk untuk membentangkan bacaan kali pertama di Dewan Rakyat pada kali ini, insya-Allah sekiranya mendapat pelepasan daripada Mesyuarat Jemaah Menteri dan AGC, insya-Allah bacaan kali pertama akan dibentangkan pada hujung Disember, pada Disember ini sebelum berakhir sidang Dewan Rakyat untuk berkaitan dengan akta gangguan seksual. Dan sebenarnya
she added that from the legal aspects, there were already acts protecting women from sexual harassment, such as the Penal Code and Employment Act. Datuk Siti Zailah also hoped women who were victims of sexual harassment would lodge complaints to the ministry or police so that the information given could be recorded and action taken against the perpetrators. Malaysia has urged the World Health Organization, WHO, to address vaccine inequity with the distribution of antiviral treatment and COVID-19 vaccines for children. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said Malaysia felt that vaccines and equity have been one of the greatest morals failing in humanity's collective response to the pandemic.
When the world was told vaccines would be available, there was great hope for global solidarity with the establishment of the COVAX facility. Yet to date, its delivery has been far short of what was planned. It has been in large part a great disappointment, with bilateral deals taking precedence over international collaboration and global solidarity.
Khairi said this when delivering the country's remarks at the 72nd Regional Committee meeting for the Western Pacific region in Himeji, Japan on Monday. He also said Malaysia called on this inequity to be addressed immediately with more equitable distribution and dose delivering swapping, adding that the country is willing to participate in technology transfer and investment to manufacture vaccines in many more sites around the world. Khairi pointed out that Malaysia supported the call by the WHO Director General for an international agreement on pandemic response, but this must not just be inclusive and accountable, but also be equitable and transparent. He also highlighted the silent parallel pandemic, namely the mental health issue faced by Malaysians, particularly among young people, as a result of prolonged lockdowns, movement restrictions, together with unemployment and financial insecurity. The international tourism bubble for the Langkawi Pioneer Project will be open to tourists from all countries. Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri said no restriction policy was adopted as strict procedures would be in place to curb the spread of COVID-19 at the resort island.
Setakat ini sebenarnya kita mula-mula disuruh untuk senaraikan nama negara-negara. Lepas tu dia kata buka kepada siapa-siapa aja. Tapi mungkin sebelum dia masuk tu dia orang kena screen oleh negara dia sendiri juga sebelum dia keluar kan. Lepas tu dia datang kemari mereka perlu juga swab test sebelum dia datang ke sini 72 jam lah. Dia kena buat swab test juga PCR. Lepas itu bila sampai kemari saya rasa dalam 5 hari lepas tu dia buat lagi.
Datuk Sri Nancy also said the international tourism bubble was to help the economy recover from the negative impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, adding that the government could not afford to wait for too long to reopen the tourism sector to foreign tourists, as it would cause locals to lose their jobs. She added that since the recent announcement regarding the tourism travel bubble, many homestays in Langkawi have received bookings from tourists, especially from Europe. The international tourism travel bubble for Langkawi is slated to begin on November 15th. Still to come on Nightline, fishmonger and farmer charged with murder in Negeri Sembilan. Nightline continues. Action has been taken against 62 companies which produce infant formula milk products, baby supplementary foods and breastfeeding equipment for violating the Code of Ethics for the marketing of infant foods and related products. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin, in a statement on Monday, said his ministry has recorded a total of 156 complaints involving such companies in the past 2 years. He also said these companies were imposed sanctions, including written warnings, suspension of vetting of all new materials for 1 to 2 years, notification to the World Health Organization, WHO, and United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, as well as notification to the International Association of Infant Food Manufacturers, press release, and blacklisting. According to the statement, the ministry had implemented the Code of Ethics since 1979 based on the International Code of Breast Milk Substitutes and the relevant World Health Assembly resolutions. Khairi added that the goal of the implementation of the Code of Ethics is to protect and defend the practice of breastfeeding as well as protect mothers from the influence of unethical promotion and advertising of related products. In Pulau Pinang, a 34-year-old man was remanded for a week to facilitate investigations into a murder case in Kampung Telaga Air, Butterworth, on Sunday night. It was believed that a 30-year-old man died after he was hacked with a machete during a fight with his housemate, believed to be over the disappearance of a cell phone. Seberang Perai Utara District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Nurzaini Muhammad Noor said the suspect was detained in Mak Mandin at 9 a.m. on Monday after the victim succumbed to his injuries at the Seberang Jaya Hospital. The suspect also tested positive for drugs and had 22 previous criminal records. In Negeri Sembilan, a fishmonger and a farmer were charged together in two separate courts with the murder of their mechanic friend, as well as injuring the victim's father using a machete. No plea was recorded from both S. Vikna Raja and R. Kalai Chelvam, aged 32 and 45, when the murder charge was read to them at the Port Dickson Magistrates Court, which fixed December 8th for mention. They were accused of murdering 44-year-old A. Kanan at a mini-market in Lingi between October 12th and the following day. At the Seremban Sessions Court, the duo claimed trial for voluntarily causing grievous hurt by using a dangerous weapon on 70-year-old V. Arumugam at the same place, also on October 12th. Judge Madiha Harullah set November 25th for case mention. Thousands in Sudan hit the streets as Prime Minister Hamdok held an apparent coup. The details and more up next. We're back with the foreign front. Security forces in Sudan have arrested Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok and several other members of this country's civilian leadership as a military officer dissolved the transitional government. The arrests on Monday prompted thousands of people to take to the streets in the capital Khartoum to demand the release of the political leaders amid reports of clashes and gunfire. According to the Information Ministry, Hamdok was arrested and moved to an undisclosed location after refusing to issue a statement in support of the coup. Internet services were cut across the country around dawn, and the main roads and bridges into Khartoum shut before soldiers stormed the headquarters of Sudan's state broadcaster in the capital's twin city of Durman. Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, a general who headed the Sovereign Council, a power-sharing ruling body, announced a state of emergency across the country and dissolved the council and the transitional government. The general's announcement in a televised address came as violence erupted, with soldiers firing live rounds at people who joined the protests. Reports say around a dozen people have so far been wounded in the clashes. Tensions between military and civilian factions in Sudan's transitional government have been close to unbearable since a failed coup last month linked to the regime of former ruler Omar al-Bashir, who was ousted in April 2019. The transitional government was put in place after Bashir was removed from power as a result of a wave of people's protests. Meanwhile, Wisma Putra is monitoring closely the developments in Sudan following the latest reports of a military takeover. According to the Malaysian embassy in Khartoum, all 42 Malaysians, including 27 students registered with the embassy, were safe, with officials at the embassy in close contact with them. The Foreign Ministry, in a statement, said it will continue to undertake efforts to safeguard Malaysia's interest in that country, including the Petronas Sudan complex, which also houses the Malaysian embassy and agencies of the United Nations and international organizations. Malaysians who require consular assistance in Sudan can contact the embassy in Khartoum or the ministry. Actor James Michael Tyler, who played coffee shop manager Gunther on the hit sitcom Friends, died Sunday at age 59. Tyler died at his home in Los Angeles after battling prostate cancer that he was first diagnosed with in 2018. The lead stars of the sitcom, like Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, and Lisa Kudrow, have paid heartfelt tributes to their co-star on social media with messages honoring his memory. His Friends character appeared in some 150 episodes across all 10 seasons of the beloved 1990 sitcom as the sarcastic coffee shop manager who was secretly in love with Jennifer Aniston's character, Rachel Green. Tyler brought the character to life and, in some cases, was unofficially referred to as the seventh friend. Action from the German Bundesliga. Stay tuned. Sports football, the 2020 Asian Cup Under-23 qualifiers. Brad Maloney's boys made a winning start in the campaign as they edged Laos 1-0 in their Group J match on Monday. The young Tigers controlled the first half but created few chances against the aggressive Laotians as it ended goalless. However, Brad Maloney's decision to bring in fresh legs with 3 substitutions in the 66th minute paid off handsomely within minutes when substitute Quentin Cheng delivered a superb cross into the box, which was tapped in by Muhammad Nur Azfar Fikri Azhar to give Malaysia the winning goal. Laos then managed to create havoc in the Malaysian box but the defense held firm until the final whistle to ensure maximum 3 points. With the win, Malaysia now top the group with 3 points, followed by Mongolia and Thailand with 1 point each, while Laos are at the bottom. Maloney's boys will next face Mongolia on Thursday before playing Thailand on October 31st to wrap up their group campaign. Still on football, the German Bundesliga, Bayer Leverkusen's title aspirations suffered a blow on Sunday as they were held to a 2-2 draw by FC Cologne. Patrick Schick opened the scoring for Leverkusen in the 15th minute when he slotted Moussa Diaby's through pass into the bottom corner for the 1-0 lead. Karim Bellarabi then doubled the lead 2 minutes later as he fired a first-timed shot into the top corner following a rebound off a defender. However, the hosts came back stronger in the second half, with Anthony Modeste reducing the deficit via his first goal in the 63rd minute before completing his brace 8 minutes from time to bring the score to 2-2. With the draw, the company's 11 sit fourth in the standings with 17 points after 9 matches. And that's it for Nightline. Over in Montenegro, Italian wingsuit pilot Marco Milanese filmed himself with a GoPro camera as he jumped off a cliff in the Bay of Kotor and glided close to the mountainside with a speed of 200 kilometers per hour. Let's take a look. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, stay safe.